Welcome to all our listeners to the InFAWmation Nation, brought to us by the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, Division of Fish and Wildlife Hunter Education Program. I'm your host, Scott Travers. I'm the Hunter Education Coordinator for the state of Rhode Island. I have also with me Branton Elliman, my technical assistant, who will be editing and making sure we have a crisp, clear recording this episode. And also I have with me Susan Estabrook, an angler from Rhode Island who is interested in both saltwater and freshwater fishing, as well as fly fishing in both environments. We're coming to you live from the Outdoor Education Office located in Exeter, Rhode Island. And as always, our focus is on hunting and hunter education, fishing and aquatic education, and all things wildlife outreach related in the state of Rhode Island. Again, this episode, we'll be talking with Susan Estabrook, who is a committee member of the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association with their fly fishing, kayaking, and new app committees, and also a member of the Rhody Fly Rodders and a board member of the Rhode Island Trout Unlimited chapter. So we're going to be talking about all those organizations and the new saltwater fishing app that Susan's been working on. So welcome, Susan. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from originally?
Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me today. I grew up in Maryland on a farm, so I kind of love being outside all the time. And I didn't really fish a lot then because my father was more of a sailor, but I was always on the water with him, and he didn't really care to fish. But I always liked fishing. I stayed home from church just to watch fishing shows, and it was just something I've always done when I was a kid in college, and now I've really, like in the last 5 years, have really tried to get into it more.
Oh, that's great. Fantastic. So how long have you been up here in Rhode Island?
I moved here in 1983 the first time, went away, worked on sailboats, came back in 90, and I've been here ever since.
Gotcha.
In Newport.
Great, so you do a lot of sailing as well.
I used to, not so much anymore.
Gotcha.
I love it though.
That's cool. So let me ask, what's your favorite type of fishing? Would it be in saltwater, freshwater? Do you like fly fishing or spin casting more? I know that might be putting you on the spot a little bit, depending on who's listening.
Right. No, I have to say I started spin fishing, and I have done freshwater fly fishing, but right now I'm really trying to work on my saltwater fly fishing. It's challenging. It's just awesome. Being out there and catching a fish on the fly is just awesome.
Yeah. Believe me, I totally understand. So what's your go-to saltwater fly?
Oh, dear. I do use clousers, but I've been staying away because I don't want to hurt my rod when I'm learning how to cast. So I have a friend who ties a shrimp fly, a hot pink shrimp fly, which is pretty effective in most of the season in Rhode Island.
Gotcha, yeah. Pink and chartreuse, two huge colors to go for when you're saltwater fishing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's start off, I guess. We'll talk a little bit about some of the organizations that you belong to. So I understand that you're a member and a board member of Trout Unlimited.
I am. It's kind of funny. I didn't really plan on joining Trout Unlimited, but I took a trout school out on the Cape with a friend who's an avid saltwater fly fisherman too. And because I took that trout school, I automatically became a member of Trout Unlimited. It took me a little while to get connected with this chapter, but I really feel it's a great organization. I'm happy and honored to be on the board, and we've got some wonderful people on there. And I think the whole concept of conservation and education is huge with all the organizations I belong to, but especially with Trout Unlimited.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, and they do help us out quite a bit with a lot of programs with our Aquatic Resource Education Department. So how about the Rhode Island Saltwater Anglers Association?
Well, so in my quest to become a better angler, I joined the Saltwater Anglers Association, and I found out that they had both a fly fishing committee and a kayak committee, and I have always loved kayak fishing. So I joined the RISA, as they call it, and applied for both committees and got on those committees. And I have to say that the fly fishing committee and the kayak committee, which has wonderful members, really are a great group and a great way to learn how to do this. Everybody's so willing to share. And it was through the DEM program that one of our chair of the fly fishing committee helped put on the DEM Cinder Worm hatch program. And he is a big proponent of helping people learn how to fly fish. And that's Dave Pollock.
Gotcha. And that's fantastic because the only way you're ever going to get interested in these activities, or if you're a person trying to get into them, is to have somebody that's there that has the knowledge and has the information and can mentor you.
Exactly. That is it's so true. And I find that a lot of these people, especially on the committee and in some of the other clubs, are just so happy to teach. They have years of knowledge and invaluable knowledge that is just so much fun, and they love to share it. So it's really great. But to get back to RISA was started in 1998 was their first official meeting. And it was founded by 15 members who wanted to make a difference and really wanted to unite the saltwater recreational fishing community. And their motto is conservation, education, and recreation. And I have to say that they are very faithful to that motto. Steve Medeiros, who's the president, he is an amazing leader of that organization, and he has created. One of their ways they educate is they have a monthly seminar, and they have the gamut of types of people who talk about everything from the striper conservation to the best plug to use to catch a striper. Kind of weird, but again, back to the education part. I think once you, as you know, as being the educator for hunting and firearms, the more you know about a species of fish or how your equipment works, it just provides a better opportunity to do a better job and a better understanding of why you're out there and why you treat a fish a certain way, because get it back in the water as quickly as possible if you have to take it out to get the hook out of its mouth, and or what species is when a species is available to be harvested, and so it's just education is a huge thing, and RISA does a great job with that. And they also have a email board, I think they call it, where people send in fishing reports or questions, and it's just a wealth of information. It's a really great organization. And Steve Medeiros does a great job monitoring what is talked about and controlling some of the topics and the extent to which something is talked about.
Right, gotcha. Get rid of that extraneous commentary. Yeah. So that's fantastic. So I assume that RISA has a website.
Yes, RISA has a website at basically it's RISA.org.
Gotcha.
RISAA.org.
Gotcha. So people can reach out to that website if they're new anglers, or maybe if they're experienced and they're looking to maybe help out other people, or just get involved with a really great, very proactive group.
And what's crazy is that RISA has like thousands of members. It has over 3,000 members. But they also believe in promoting the sport with women, men, children, and families.
Right,
so it's
all
really
inclusive.
Exactly. It's a great organization. And the app that we're doing with the RISA is something new. Welcome to 2021 and to the cell phone era. So they were granted they received a grant with other organizations to develop an app with a software company that will track your recreational fishing. And it will have multiple species, locations, not to give those spots away, of course, but just so that the DEM will know where those fish are populated. It's still in the very, very early stage of development. I'm just getting texts right now from the software company to sign up and get it on my phone. So stay tuned for that, because it should be a great opportunity. And the whole purpose, as you know, being a DEM employee, is to track fish species, just to see how we're doing, how Mother Nature's doing, basically, how the regulations are working out, and what to target. So.
Fantastic. So it sounds like that app's going to have a lot of great info. It's going to have, again, as you said, the type of fish, where it was caught, when it was caught.
Right.
So,
And possibly how you caught it, whether it was fly fishing or spin fishing or on a boat or whatever. So
Right.
it should be a really good resource.
oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and that'll be a resource that anyone will be able to access, correct? Not just DEM.
That's correct. It will be for the public and it will be free.
Wow, free app. That's fantastic.
Yep.
I know a lot of people will be interested to hear that. So cool. And how about roadie fly rodders? How do they tie in?
Well, many of our fly fishing committee members are roadie fly rodders, but roadie fly rodders is a really special club. Roadie fly rodders is the oldest saltwater fly fishing club in the country. It was started back in 1963 with some East Bay sporting clubs got together and they wanted to just have a fly fishing club. And there was a gentleman by the name of Harold Gibbs who was kind of a conservation person on the bay, and he was a salmon fisherman. So he tied some salmon flies and attempted to use them for stripers and was successful. So he and another very famous person, Al Brewster, started the club. They were invited to join a club down in, I think, New Jersey, or they were going to. They were going to be the chapter of that club, but that club folded. So the Roadie Fly Rodders maintained, and it has some very famous people. Ray Bondurant. Sadly, one of the founding members, was also, who passed away with COVID, was Armand Couchain. That was a very sad loss. Bill Peabody and Kenny Abrams, who is a lot of people follow Kenny, and he has a couple books out. Ray Bondurant has a book, but our current president, Peter Nilsson, has also written a book among other books, about the Roadie Fly Rodders. 50 years, 50 members, 50 flies. He features 50 members and their favorite flies, and that he just republished that. So that's available now. I think if you go to Roadie Fly Rodders website, you could order it. Or if you do Facebook, I know Peter's on Facebook. But anyhow, the talent that's in that club, the willingness, again, it's more of an educational than conservation club. But we do lecture. They have lectures when we were allowed to have inside meetings. But the Narrow River, which is one of our most amazing resources in this state, the Roadie Fly Rodders is very faithful to that river and fish that river hard. And we did a cleanup this spring with the Roadie Fly Rodders and RZA, and we had 20 people come to clean up the banks of the Narrow River, because I figured if we use it, we need to pay back. And we did, and it was awesome. We had a huge haul. And the Narrow River Preservation Association gave us a lot of help with material like garbage bags and buckets and gloves and things like that. And we're very happy to have our help. So that was a thing that I really felt we needed to do.
That's great. So, it sounds like the members are really, really active and very passionate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, there's a lot of crossover between the RZA members and the Roadie Fly Rodders, and we're just mentoring the Rhode Island, the DEM Cinder Worm program, to help out the new students for that program. And it's pretty fun. They're always some right now, since the Cinder Worm hatch is going on down in the ponds down in South County. You often see members of both clubs down at Ninigret. We have a meeting at Potter Pond. Oh, I shouldn't say that. There's going to be too many people there. But I won't say when. But
that's
soon,
right.
Coming up soon. And so we're hoping to get some good people. And again, it's so common where these people will get together, all the anglers will get together and share flies and share stories and here, take my spot because I'm catching and you're not, and it's just so much fun. It's just a great way to learn and a great way to get outside. We have been so fortunate through the whole COVID lockdown, and that we were still able to get out and be in the fresh air. And the Narrow River was a blessing for all of our community here, not fishing, but the whole local community and people from Connecticut and Massachusetts, just to have that opportunity to get outside and recreate and maintain some sanity.
Right, gotcha. And that's one thing we have to, be aware of. As Rhode Islanders, we have these great resources in our state that people from other states are coming here, so we might as well, get out there and explore them and take advantage of them ourselves as well. So you did mention something, Susan, that's very big in the saltwater fly fishing community. You said something about a cinder worm. So can you tell us a little bit about the cinder worm and the cinder worm hatch?
Well, I don't have the Latin name of that worm, and I guess there are a couple different worms that come out, but the cinder worm is a worm that hangs out in the mud. So it's down in the mud during the winter, and once the water and the mud gets warmed up by the sun, unlike a true hatch, like you might see bugs on the river, on the Wood River, this is actually a mating ritual where the worms come out of the mud to mate and spawn and then go away. So, and it's funny, it's kind of, if the worms are there, the fish are going to be there because they've come in to get the worms. But if the worms are there and the fish are there, there's no guarantee you're going to catch a fish because oftentimes the worms are so prevalent or so plentiful that the fish just go after them. So one of the big parts of the cinder worm program is to tie a fly to imitate that worm. And it's pretty funny how if you got the right fly, it really helps. And I've been not excessively fortunate, but I have been fortunate two of the times when I saw worms, I did catch a couple fish, and I had a really simple but a pretty good-looking fly, evidently, because the fish took it.
Fantastic.
But and it is specific. You can Google cinder worm flies, and you'll see lots of patterns. And we were really fortunate to have some veteran fly tyers who were able to help out with this program during COVID because we had to do it Zoom. And the new fishing educator, Dana, did a great job considering the restrictions of COVID and also new technology being utilized for this program. And it's not easy when you can't see your student and show them firsthand. So our fly tyers, Steve Cook and John Genovese and Ray Stechelek, did a great job trying to communicate and teach the students how to tie a fly via Zoom.
Right. So. Yeah, and I know that's part of what we're doing now because of all the precautions going on. But hopefully, as we see a lot of those COVID precautions starting to fade away, we'll get back into more of that, personal experience, being able to tie with people in person rather than doing it virtually.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to mention one other club quickly. I don't have a lot of information on it, but the United Fly Tyers of Rhode Island is another great club. And sadly, during COVID, we haven't been able to get together at all. Again, that is both salt and freshwater, as you know, because you're one of the teachers. And it's really been the club is still intact, but it's just really been sad that we haven't been able to get together. And again, it's this camaraderie that, it's like, oh, here, take my fly, take this one really works well and try this and see what that does and look at it under the water and see how it moves. But anyhow, that's a great club too.
Right, yeah, and just again to elaborate a little on United Fly Tyers, also another great organization that meets on a monthly basis. And the focus really of United Fly Tyers is on fly tying and flies that work seasonally. And so if you are tying with United Fly Tyers in the summertime in August, you're going to be actually tying flies that are going to work right then. So you're not tying a fly that someone will say, well, in 6 months, this fly will work for you. It's what's happening right now.
Probably tying something for the albies to come in.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And same thing, there are saltwater tyers there, and there are freshwater tyers there. And everybody's happy and helpful and able to let you borrow tools or a vise or whatever you might need, materials included, to tie those flies that you'll be working on at those specific meetings. And also, Susan, I believe they have a website as well, correct?
Yes, they do.
Yes,
and
and
oftentimes they have the fly patterns on there, so you can go check that out.
right, and they do have a great online resource, like you're saying. So again, any of these organizations, if you just go online in your search bar, just type in the name of the organization, it'll bring you right up to them. So
That's right.
fantastic. So just briefly, when we talk about the kayak fishing that you've done, do you primarily fly fish or spin cast from
Well,
your kayak?
I have only spin fished from my kayak as of right now, and I haven't had my kayak out for a couple years now. So, but my goal is to definitely start fly fishing. I have a Hobie Mirage with pedals, which allows you to have your hands free, but they're also with the pedals and everything. There's a lot of things to get tangled on, and when you're fly fishing, not getting tangled is important.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't done that, but you can put a towel over all your lap and things like that, and so that's my next thing is to try to do that. So
Gotcha, fantastic. So again, I know, Susan, we've mentioned this many times during our conversation here. Education is very important to you, and so what are some of the programs that you feel are kind of like the most important, or the most important maybe educational opportunities that we have for people here in Rhode Island?
well, again, I mean, I'm not saying everybody's a club person and they don't have to belong to all these clubs, but these clubs do provide great educational opportunities, whether it be in a classroom setting like the seminars that RISA does, or just and that Rhody Fly Routers does, or the tying that the United Fly Tyers do, but also just meeting those people who have years of invaluable knowledge and are so willing to share. And I think maybe you could meet those people at the parking lot at Sprague Bridge. Maybe you could, but sometimes you don't. Not everybody is as bold as I am sometimes, and don't always break the ice. So having that bond of belonging to the clubs, or really provides an opportunity, a platform. Again, the DEM has been doing some great programs, and I think we were talking about Trout Unlimited, because Trout Unlimited in Rhode Island and Massachusetts and Connecticut we have such a great saltwater fishery as well as freshwater fishery. A lot of the people that belong to Trout Unlimited are saltwater anglers as well, and the Trout Unlimited has a tendency to put on some programs that are also educational. Cape Cod TU does great. They're doing a casting clinic on Sunday, this coming Sunday, for women, which is going to be a great event, I'm sure. And then we have the DEM putting on a beginning fly fishing clinic here or down in Carolina at the fish hatchery on this Saturday. And so there are lots of great opportunities for education. But again, I think that and also because of the internet, there are some fabulous opportunities for education. If you are more of a wallflower and don't want to get out there and join clubs, Orvis does a great job with a learning center. And Rio, which is a line company, they have fabulous videos and lots and lots of information. Those are only two of many, many companies that are equipment manufacturers, and there's a lot of competition out there. So they're all very willing, and they get it. They understand they need to educate. And also, I think you all know the name Patagonia. I mean, they are big into conservation, big into education. I mean, there's so many. So I think we have figured you're going to be outside, you're going to enjoy the outside. You better take care of the outside.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, to kind of sum all that up, all these different organizations that we have in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island being a relatively small state geographically, we have a lot of people and a lot of great organizations. And like you said, each one provides its own little social network, and many of them overlap. So you may start out wanting to go after saltwater fish or targeting stripers, and down the line, you never know. You might end up really finding that fly fishing for a trout in the Wood River, in a freshwater environment, is really your passion and the thing that you were really into. So
yeah, and there's just so many opportunities, and then there's the world,
Right.
It's a great way to see the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Fishing, having that opportunity to fish wherever you can go.
Gotcha. So what do you think we can do to get people more interested in all these various types of fishing and all these areas in Rhode Island that they could go to enjoy?
Well, I think the app is going to be a good way of helping the public see what's out there.
Yeah, I really agree. That app is going to open up a lot of doors, I think.
I think it will.
Yeah. So some of the other things that we talked about, like the different programs that either DEM offers or the various clubs offer.
Yep.
And I know we partner a lot on things as well.
Right. And also, go visit your local tackle shop. There are a lot of tackle shops that have both saltwater and freshwater. And I'm sorry, saltwater and freshwater and fly fishing and traditional fishing. There are lots of them in the area. I don't really want to plug too many, but I have to say one Peter Jenkins at Saltwater's Edge does a great job in promoting the sport, promoting conservation. He's big into it. Scott up in Bear's Den has one of the best fly tying materials store and around, and Fin and Feathers under new management. So I haven't been there under new ownership. I haven't really been there, but I know that's promising. And then you have the local spinning or other regular fishing areas. I understand that last year with COVID, the sport went nuts. And people could hardly get equipment. I mean, other than the fact that supply was low, fishing rods were flying off the shelves. No pun intended.
Right. Yeah. So fantastic. So lots of resources, lots of places people can go.
And one other thing I think too, and it can be pricey, but it can be so much fun, is to charter one of our local charter captains and get out on the water in a boat. And again, if you were to Google, Rhode Island charter, whether it be fly fishing or conventional fishing or spin fishing, you get out, you get on the water, you can put some food in your freezer, and you just have a great opportunity to see what this whole sport's all about.
Exactly, what this state has to offer.
Exactly, yeah.
For sure, yeah. So, before we close, we usually ask our guests if they have one particular funny story or something interesting that happened to them while out in the field or in the water. And so, Sue, do you have a story like that for us today? Sure, or you could tell us two if you wanted.
Well, people often say, how did you get started fishing? And when I was growing up in Maryland on a farm, our neighboring farm had a pond. So the first fish I remember catching, I had no hook, so I tied a worm to a string, which was attached to a stick, and I caught my first bluegill. And I think I've been, again, no pun intended, hooked since then. But one story I wanted to relay is it's kind of an education and a little bit of a comment on safety when you're out there on the water. And one of our first outings with Rhodey fly rodders was a one fly outing. It was the Harold Gibbs fly, and we were fishing up in 100 Acre Cove up in Barrington. And I was traveling with Steve Cook, who was the tyer of all those flies. And we were a little bit late, and most of the guys were out there fishing already. So I ran the flies out to the guys so they could switch what they were using to the one fly that was provided. Meanwhile, Steve and a friend of ours, Greg Hood, they were getting dressed and ready to go and helping people in the parking lot get their kids together and get their gear on. So we went out, and we weren't exactly sure where to go. And Greg went to the left, and Steve and I went to the right. And Steve looked over and said, "I think Greg's stuck in the mud." And I'm like, whoa. So I went and I ran over, and nobody wanted to get close to Greg because he was up to his waist in mud. And they were nervous about getting stuck as well. So I got some reeds off of the beach that were dry reeds, and I made like mat so he could get out, and he threw me all of his gear, kept his stripping basket, and literally pushed himself out of the mud with his stripping basket as a little platform. Couldn't stand up because of being in the mud for a while. I told him just crawl to me. He did. finally helped him up when he felt strong enough, and we walked out. But it was low tide, and had that tide come in and he hadn't gotten out of the mud, who knows? But he tells everybody I saved his life, and we've been fishing partners since then. However, I just want to emphasize, when you're out there, know what the tides are doing, know what the weather's going to do, know where you are, do a little recon so you know what's out there and what can happen, because it can be a dangerous sport, and that's all.
Right, and always go out in pairs. Go out with another person if you can.
If you can, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Kayaking and fishing. Plus, it's kind of fun to have stories to tell later.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great story with actually a great lesson behind it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get stuck in that mud.
The best part was the rescue squad came and they hosed us off.
That's funny. Yeah, that mud certainly, afterwards, it can have a particular odor to it, I can tell you that. So, fantastic. Oh, well, so is there anything, Susan, that maybe we forgot or we haven't mentioned, or anything else that you want to tell our listeners before we close?
Oh, there's so much to learn, and so worth it to learn. Right. And I think we'll be learning all of our lives, I hope. And new things come out, but old things are good too. And but what I'd like people to do is just go find somebody and talk to them about fishing, and see what they get out of it, because it's pretty exciting, and it's just a great way to be outside.
Excellent. Fantastic. Those are great words to close with. So thank you very much for coming this month, Susan, and talking with us.
My pleasure, Scott. Thanks for asking.
Excellent. So next month, we'll be speaking with Fish and Wildlife and Hunter Education Zone Branton Element, who will be with us telling us all about the Great Swamp Shooting Range, all the fantastic things going on over there, how to get a permit for the range, and what we're planning for the range for the future. And we'll have more questions from our listeners. And of course, if you have any questions for any of our staff or for myself, you can always reach me via email at scott.travers@dem.ri.gov. So until next month, I hope everyone gets a chance to head outside and enjoy the beautiful outdoor recreation opportunities that Rhode Island has to offer.